Hello everyone, welcome back to Leanne's Crafty Cupboard. I'm Leanne and today I'm finishing my slow stitch journal. So here you can see my plan that I drew up for the journal, and I'm about to cut the backing cardboard. So we're looking at my board dimensions here. So I need one piece that's 4.5 inches wide times by 8.5 and two pieces that are 6 inches wide. So the 6 inches are the front and back cover and the 4 inches the spine. It might take multiple passes with the scalpel knife to cut through the thickness of the board, but hold it in position and keep cutting. You can see it gives you a nice, clean, straight edge. It is such a beautiful day outside. So I've laid out my pieces here on the fabric where they're going to go. And I'm using these two offcuts to get the right gap in between. Because of course if you stick the board hard up against the spine, the book won't close. It'll just be a flat piece. So it needs this gap to sort of, allow the cover to close. So always keep your little offcuts. Now, what I suspect is that I'm clipping this on, right? Because I want to turn it over and have a look. I forgot to allow for the shrinkage that occurs when you stitch so much on a piece of fabric. Yep, and look, it's lost nearly an inch here, hasn't it? So now I'm going to need to come up with what I'm going to do to bridge that gap. So if you're thinking of using what I've done as a guide to learn from my errors, remember I never sort of profess that these are clean tutorials, more I'm just having a go. So let's draw up a line along the edge so I can see how much more I need to stitch. So I'm thinking like you should leave an inch more, stitch an inch more than what you think. I mean, it does depend how much stitching you do, I guess, on the piece. What I've done along the tops and bottoms is sort of basic stitching. Can you see it's just running stitch and whatnot there, so that, it wasn't so much stitching that I'd be, disheartened if it ends up cut off the piece. But I didn't think about doing the same along the sides. Anyway, that's okay. We just get to have more stitching fun now, right? I just paused you while I got down my jar of lovelies. And this started out as just a few pieces, and then I put them in a jar, and then I had to buy a bigger jar, and it's jam-packed. This is lovely. I really like that. Not wide enough. I could add something to it. What else have we got here? Look at that. I'm not going to use that, but isn't this beautiful? This piece of vintage lace. Love. all these tinies I'm going to put aside so that they stay near the top of the jar, because I'm going to need those when I go to, wow, look at that. Oh, I think that was a piece that Christine had sent me. The little ones, I'm going to need those. Oh, nice. It's only a tiny piece of vintage lace. Wow. That's a contender. Look, it's so pretty. Yeah, the little ones I'll need for the retreat with Corinne. I'm going to the Newcastle retreat. No, that one doesn't work. She'd mentioned that we'd need some little pieces of lace for around the houses. I've got all these cuts of silk as well that I bought in a bundle from a second-hand store. It's the Remakery in Windsor. I love it. I just rummage around there for ages. This is too dark. Some little offcuts of wedding lace. That'd be pretty, but it needs something else, of course, with it. Lovely Kathy sent me those. I love those bits of bling. Been snipping into those for projects. There's more of those offcuts that came in a bag. So it's obviously a dressmaker or has just bundled all those up, and I'm grateful to have all these pieces. We haven't even touched the surface here, guys, of this jar. Oh my goodness. I love that piece. I bought that at the Sewing Basket in Newington. Oh, this might be a contender. Let's look. Thinking it's just a little bit too bright white, maybe. I don't know. Oh, I like that. Got to add something to it. Just to get the right width. I like that look. That sort of finishes the edge nicely. Looks okay on camera. I'm looking through the camera, but in real life it's not quite the right colour tone. That's better, I think. If I turn it the other way.
What's that?
Yeah. What do you think? Do you like that? I think that's the winner for me. Need something else for along here. You see there's a bit of a gap along the bottom. Or maybe I haven't used these in ages. Yep, let's pull you out. Okay, I'm not going to keep rummaging. Oh, it's tempting. What else is down there? Oh, I love this snippet of lace. I quite like that. But it is covering over the leaf that I stitched a bit. Do I mind that the leaf is covered over? Can we get it back in the jar is the question. It's like a magic trick. I like to keep my workspace clear so you don't end up with that huge mess at the end to have to clear up. So I always try and tidy up in between each section. When I'm done with stitching, put the stitching things away. When I'm done gluing, put the gluing things away. Those little skinny treasures on top so I can find them for the workshop. It's a button, should be in a button jar. A while ago now I bought this sit-down stand-up table. Love it. Best thing for the craft room. So I'm just going to use running stitch. To stitch these new elements on. Just rocking the needle back and forth. So I think I'll just do it along this edge. And then I'll come back along what's the bottom edge at the moment as well. I'm a bit skew-iff there, come back a bit. Let's straighten that, eh? Anyway, you get the idea, just running stitch to put all these new elements on. Okay, so let's running stitch these down. So I'm going to running stitch this lace down along that bottom edge so it gets the ribbon at the same time. So it's convenient, the little gaps in the lace. I'm using those to place my running stitch. I clipped it all together with the little Clover Wonder clips. They're great. And I'll just release them as I go. So, you know what I'm doing here, just running stitch all the way along the edge. I'm just using whip stitch now to stitch. I put in these two little extra floral elements under the lace to cover the gap. And I haven't done any whip stitch on this piece, so I thought, why not? So it's just where you stitch over the edges. There we go. Let's have a little scroll through. I want to look at all the work that has taken all this time to complete. It really is very satisfying. A little bumblebee I bought in Berlin. I love the flowers on that doily. That's like they were always there. Very satisfying indeed. Time at last to get to bookmaking. This is my bookbinding box. My daughter gifted me a class at the Owl and Line Bindery in Ultimo in May last year, and we custom made this box, so I made it to fit my bookbinding tools. Isabel is a wonderful bookbinder and can teach you everything you need to know, so you can buy all your bookbinding supplies there as well. I highly recommend it. So I always keep junk mail to glue on, because you can glue away to your heart's content and then turn the page and you've got a clean surface, so you're not getting glue everywhere. And this is just PVA glue and a super duper brush that puts it on very quickly. We want a nice even coverage and not too much that it would make everything warp, but enough so that it will definitely stick. I first stumbled upon Isabel's classes during lockdowns, and I did an online course, which I didn't know at the time. Turned out it was quite an advanced course, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'd already bound some books myself in the past, so I wasn't a complete novice, but I was a complete novice in terms of expert knowledge, if you know what I mean. So it's always wonderful to be able to learn from someone who's highly skilled and to pick up their tips. Look at these lovely ladies in the magazine. It's nice to have someone smiling at me while I'm making something. They look like they're having a lovely time watching. And that brings me to you. Thank you for watching. I can't tell you how much I appreciate having you here with me, and for the lovely comments that you leave. I really love it when you share with me what you've been making lately and what you're up to, and just sharing snippets of your world as well. That's really kind, and it brings me a lot of joy to read those comments from you and to have your support. So remember why we leave that gap, so the book can actually close. You get very mucky fingers. I need a little scrap here just to wipe off the excess I had on the edge. Right, time to get the pages in. So I am making 4 signatures. So I've got a piece of fabric that I have put into facing on the back just to sort of stiffen it. And I'm just laying out those signatures, testing where they'll go. And I'm going to use my sewing machine for this, honestly. But, of course, you could slow stitch it if you wanted to. So what I essentially have here is 2 pieces of calico on top of one another and ironed down the middle. And I've drawn out 4 lines at even places on my backing fabric. And I'm just lining up the centre crease and let's stitch her on down. So if you're doing it by hand, you could just do a running stitch, or a back stitch would make it even stronger. Okay, so I'm going to do that with the other 3 sets of calico leaves. I can't believe I finally finished. I'm so excited to fill this, and I sort of future-proofed it by putting in, enough leaves, I hope, for future projects, and this will last me a little bit, and then when it's full I have the joy of making another one, maybe the same, maybe in a different style. So let's get stitching. So essentially what's going to happen is I'm going to take 2 pages that I've already done and running stitch them together along 3 edges, the outer edges. Then when I come up to the inner edge, I'm going to slip the pages over, one of the signatures in the book, and stitch them down. And what I've just realised actually is that idea is not going to totally work because look, they're a little bit smaller in parts than the signature, so it's not going to slip in well. So what I'm going to do is instead just stitch the whole thing together in the book. It is the most glorious weather. I think perhaps autumn's my favourite time of year. I love spring, especially because of all the flowers, but also especially because of all of the flowers. It's a difficult time for me. Hay fever. Okay, so I'm just holding these together. If you're a pinner, you could pin them. And I'm just going to do running stitch and see how that goes. I am not a pinner. I get hooked in pins. Although when I do use pins, I do use the little applique ones from Clover, my favourite, because they hook me less. I get less caught up in those. Now, what you want to be careful of when you're doing your running stitch, can you even see what I'm doing? Probably not. Let me change angles. Let's see if this works better for you. My hand will probably still be in the way. Anyway, I love these too. These are the little wonder clips from Clover. Can maybe hang on to there. So as I was saying, what you need to be careful of with your running stitch is don't pull it tight as you go, making it all gather up. Now, I've got a bit of an issue here because you can see while I'm happily stitching away, I am too close to the edge and that will all just fray and fall apart. So I'm just going to have to bring it up a bit higher, up here. What fun. I'm so motivated to do more pages now to put into this book. That actually might be a really, really good place to start if you're new to slow stitching, is to start by making yourself the book that you're going to put everything in. So I'm going to keep going around all the sides, but that's effectively now inside the book. Do you know, it's funny too when you, like this one took so long, and I can remember sitting in a beautiful cafe out at a little town called Mulgoa and sitting outdoors on the veranda and stitching that while I was waiting for my lunch. And then this one, this was seeing Leela's work from the Maker's Stash and going, oh my goodness, so tiny. Can I even do things that tiny? So I bought some of her
pieces and her little papers and gave it a go in my experiment journal, and I loved it and found actually it's in some ways a bit easier than doing larger pieces because it's just one fold and hold with your thumb and they're sort of held down. And I can remember I didn't have felt the right colour. I only had white felt, so I thought, well, can you paint felt? And experimented painting the felt, and yes, it can. It turns out you can, and I really, really love the painted effect. And of course, just the sheer joy of buttons and playing with my buttons there. And then this one was my son gave me for Mother's Day a colouring in book. And I thought, wow, those, outlines, they're so interesting. Can I use these for my stitching? And just tried all different sort of treatments on the leaves, and through that learnt some techniques that I really, really love. I also learnt that it doesn't work when we straight stitch so far. Straight stitch at such long lengths doesn't work so much. I loved the effect of the tulle here on the pieces, and so I've done that on this journal actually with the back cover here in the rose. This has got lace over the leaves to add texture, and then the little bits that I cut off I just stuck in there, and like on the sepals here. So it was that experimenting that even though I don't like this piece, the experimenting sort of gave me ideas of things that I do like. This was me experimenting with a textile medium to try and get it to resist the paint, and it at the time I thought it wasn't successful. It still bled a lot, but in fact, if you're careful with how you use it, that effect works. I mean, looking at that now, that still looks like a flower to me, so it sort of kept its shape. So I just stuck that in the space here. So yeah, this is the place to experiment, play, have fun, try things out. Sometimes you do get pieces of sheer joy that you absolutely love, like I love these pages, or other times you learn things. So I'm going to go and sit all comfy, cozied up on the lounge with these pages, stitching them all in with some of my favourite YouTubers on. So I'll be back to show you a little flick through when it's all done. Well, I'm back and it's done. I can't. So happy, so happy. So this is the cover and the spine. Now, in hindsight, I would have thought more carefully about where the edges of the spine would be, so that if this is sitting on the shelf, that would be the most interesting part. But I'm thinking in the future this lends itself to a beautiful, say, bookmark or another piece hanging over, because it's just a bit, very much here and not much going on there. And then the back, I actually love the back cover the best. That's my favourite. I think it's because, I'm not sure why. I think it's because it's calmer, there's less going on. I love that too, though. I do love it. I have got lots of videos showing the process of this in the making. So, go through my Slow Stitch Journal playlist and you'll see. Then when we open it up, I love how you can actually see like 3 pages at once, like the front, the back and the first page. And it pleases me that they're of the same sort of colour. So this started life as a caterpillar. And this is probably one of my most popular videos, Ink Tense and Stitching. Started my ink tense journey. Love it. This was a needle turn. I think this was my first try of doing needle turn applique. Marion of Marianne's World. I saw her doing botanical pounding and gave that a go and stitched around it. I dislike this page intensely, but even keeping the pages we dislike is a good thing. I can recognise in it what I dislike. So I actually love the centre treatment of this camellia. I dislike the edging. It's too bright in colours. I think I would have preferred it if I kept the stitching in the same tonings, and that I've used double thread and I use chain stitch. So it's just all too thick for something that's quite delicate in colour. So I want to try another botanical piece of, I've got lots more where I experimented. So I want to try doing some delicate stitching on them and see what that will work out like. These were just sitting with bits out of my scrap box. I literally started slow stitching with a box full of scraps, a tiny box, and it grew into this cupboard. What happened? I still love the joy of just sitting with limited supplies and creating. So I tried thread painting for the first time in these ones. It's hard to tell what's paint and what's sewn, isn't it? So these ones are stitched very intensely. So I was trying satin stitch out and long and short stitch. Still not very happy with my long and short stitch. It's something I want to keep working on. And this appeals to me greatly. I love the symmetry. And I enjoy working with felt. It's so lovely and soft to work with.
Take a look at the spine here and you can see how much room the pages take up. That's why I designed it with such big gaps in between.
So much work, so much fun, so much play. Lots more to come.
If you're still here with me at the end, thank you so much for watching all the way through. Have you got any finished products recently, or are you looking forward to finishing up one soon? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Take care, everyone. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.